Hi, everybody, and welcome to Title II Tuesday, brought to you by the Center for Inclusive Teaching and Learning here at UWSP. We're almost at the end of our run for bite-sized remediation. This week, we'll be covering PDF files and accessibility. We've left this topic till late in the term because these documents are notoriously difficult to remediate if they haven't been built accessibly to begin with. So, what exactly do you need to know about PDFs and making them compliant with Title II of the Americans with Disabilities Act? Let's dig into it. Let's start with a brief review of what PDFs are and why we use them so much. PDF stands for Portable Document Format. PDFs were developed by Adobe Systems back in the 1990s with the intention of allowing sharing of documents across a variety of digital platforms without compromising the content or structure of the documents. This was a great idea in the early days of digital documents because there wasn't a lot of cross-platform compatibility. Also, in those early days, PDFs were considered more secure and tamper-proof than other document types because they were originally designed to be viewed and printed. Most users had access only to the free Acrobat Reader, not the full version of Adobe Acrobat, which would have allowed editing. So PDFs gained a reputation for being a secure document format, though this has always been somewhat mistaken. Adobe stressed the utility of PDFs for maintaining document fidelity, and it's likely that this fidelity was conflated with document security. Technology has changed a lot since the 1990s. Editing software is widespread, which allows manipulation of PDF files. They're no more secure than any other digital resource, and perhaps less secure because folks are often cavalier with them because of the lingering sentiment that they're somehow more secure. There's also a great deal more inter-platform compatibility, allowing, for example, a Word document to be viewed using Google Docs. Although there are still reasons to use PDFs, especially for publication layout and for fillable forms, much of the rationale for using PDFs no longer applies. There are a lot of kinds of PDFs, and different kinds present us with different challenges. First, we have the old PDF scans of documents, chapters, journal articles, what have you. These are typically just images of text. As with other images, the images of words are not compatible with screen readers. You can't really make meaningful alternative text for them, so these are functionally 100% inaccessible. Because they're designed to maintain fidelity of documents visually, PDFs are pretty mobile device unfriendly. They don't resize well, and anybody who's tried to read a PDF on their phone will tell you that the zooming and the scrolling required can be disorienting. Finally, most are marked as read-only to help prevent folks from making changes to them, which makes them more difficult to modify for compliance with ADA and Title II requirements. It isn't impossible. A motivated person can alter such files. It's just more cumbersome than one might want it to be. So, let's go over what makes a PDF accessible and compliant with Title II requirements. First, the text must be readable to machines, so no scan images. If you can't obtain something better than an old scanned file to make a scanned PDF accessible, you would have to use optical character recognition software to read the image of the text and convert it into actual text. The crummier the scan, the less accurate the first reading is, and the more editing you're likely to have to do. Next, the PDF needs to have appropriate structure. As with Word documents, you need to review the nested hierarchical structure of the document with different heading levels, subheadings, paragraphs, etc. This is important in establishing the reading order of the document and allowing people who use screen readers to navigate it. Finally, the PDF needs appropriate tagging. Just as using built-in styles in Word and Canvas identifies elements as headings, etc., the components of PDFs are identified by metadata tags. These tags are necessary for screen readers to know how to present the document contents. You probably think at this point that we're about to tell you how to remediate your PDFs so that they have structure, tags, and readable text. But honestly, that's not what we're going to do. The best advice CITL can provide to you at this time is to avoid distributing PDFs to your students. Almost any other format for whatever you've got in a PDF is either inherently more accessible or is easier to modify to make it accessible. So, what is the plan of attack on PDFs? What should you do if you've got PDFs that your class relies on? The first strategy is to provide a hyperlink to an alternative, more accessible form of the resource. This is a great solution to the PDF problem. If you are using a journal article, for example, use the library databases to find where the publisher is hoarding their online version of the article. When appearing in a web page, this article will be more accessible than the PDF version. And if your students decide they want that PDF version, they can download it themselves from the website. You can contact the library for help with the databases and how to make sure that the links you provide are not behind paywalls. The second strategy, try swapping a new version for the version you have. This is great for those old photocopier PDFs of obscure chapters. It is possible that a compliant PDF of what you want already exists in the Cosmos, and trading up is a great idea. You can contact the publishers or library staff for help with this. Strategy 3. If you can't link to or swap out for a more accessible version, remake the PDF into a different form that's easier to make compliant. According to copyright law, it's okay for you to render a copyrighted work, like a journal article, in a different form as long as you provide references and don't change the content. So you could copy and paste the text from a PDF of a journal article or a book chapter into a Word document, a PowerPoint, or a web page. We've already covered the basics of how to make materials accessible in each of these formats. Strategy 4. You can use the UDoIt accessibility checker in Canvas to convert PDFs to a Canvas page automatically. Keep in mind that you have to exercise caution with this, since there can be mistakes and misinterpretations. Still, it's better than trying to type all the content incorrectly, and although the setup cost is high, you can retain this format for the material for future use. Strategy 5. This is our last resort, and that is to attempt to remediate the accessibility issues of the PDF. Okay, quick breakdown. That's 4 options of what to do about PDFs that don't involve trying to remediate the document's accessibility challenges. Why? Why is this the last resort? Remember, each of the alternatives is more accessible and easier to remediate than a PDF. You'll have less work ahead of you overall if you can link to a web page or locate an accessible version of whatever you have in your PDF currently. Even if you have to remake the resource or convert it, it will be, in the long run, more accessible and less frustrating than trying to remediate it with our current tools. I'll be honest with y'all. Trying to remediate PDFs has made me cry on more than one occasion, and I do this more than you do. So, if you can't link, swap, remake, or convert, at this point, we're asking you to hold off on trying to remediate existing PDFs. Although this is technically possible using Acrobat Pro, the juice is just not worth the squeeze. The tools available to remediate in Adobe Pro are cumbersome. They produce mixed results and will probably just frustrate you. We are waiting right now on the development of a new tool at UW-Madison for PDF remediation and auto tagging. The tool is in the final stages of development, and so far it looks very promising. We're hoping that this will be available to us in the new year. It isn't likely to be a panacea that will take care of every issue, but we think that as a first step, it will help reduce the amount of hands-on remediation work you need to do in Adobe Pro. So we'll keep you posted on this, but for now, if you can replace the PDF, do that. If not, wait until we get this tool to try to fix it. Now for some demonstration. Remember strategy 1. Link to accessible web versions of content. This is the best option if you have something like a journal article that you usually distribute as a PDF. Although it's easy to find these on publisher websites, one problem we face is that unless accessed from campus, some of the links you provide will hit the journal's paywall. So your best bet is to get links from the library databases. You'll need what are called persistent links. Here's a quick walkthrough. In the database of choice, when you've located the listing for the article of interest, access the Share Forward button for the article in question and copy the share link. This is what you'll use in Canvas, hyperlinked to the descriptive text. I usually suggest the title of the article as the descriptive text that you're linking to. This link will take your students to the item in the library database, and they can choose in the drop-down how they would like to consume it, PDF or online. If you have any problems or are confused, if you need help with this, prepare a bibliography of the articles you need accessible copies of and provide it to the reference librarians. Hopefully they can find the links for you. Strategy 4. In the You Do It Accessibility Checker in Canvas, you should access the Review Course Files tab. This is important in helping you to identify some of the shortcomings associated with your PDFs. You'll see the list of your files and potential errors will be flagged. The program can't process files that are too large, so accessibility issues with large files won't be tagged. My first PDF, Brain on ChatGPT, is a 39 megabyte file. I can't do anything to help with accessibility in this application, and no errors are flagged because it wasn't thoroughly scanned because it's too big. But note that the errors are listed for other files. These are smaller, and when I click on them, I can see options for remediation. You can render the content as a page in Canvas, which is always the most accessible, but remember that you'll have to go through the results and edit them accordingly. If you're planning to change the format of a file into a Word document or a PowerPoint, following strategy 3, it might be advantageous to request a plain text file that won't bring in a lot of markup when you copy and paste into your alternative format. Remember, it's not easy to make PDFs accessible. It's better to use alternatives to PDFs, such as linking to library resources, swapping with accessible versions, or remaking or converting the content into a more accessible form. We're holding off on doing accessibility remediation on PDFs until we have the expected new tool from UW-Madison. And that's this week's Title II tip, brought to you by the Center for Inclusive Teaching and Learning here at UWSP. Remember, at CITL, we offer support for course design, learning activities, assessment, pedagogy, and accessibility. Visit our website to schedule a consultation today.